It's been 2 weeks since this whole thing started. It all started with a tanker incident. It was all over the news. Everyone thought it was just another oil spill. You know, there were plenty of volunteers. Plenty of people wanting to help poor defenseless animals. Plenty of victims. Within hours of the tanker accident, it started happening. The animals had gone crazy. They were scratching and biting the cleanup volunteers. They said it must have been an adverse effect of whatever was in the tanker. Rescue workers were still trying to get the crew out of the ship. They said they could hear screaming inside. Screams to open the doors. But that's when it all went to hell. As soon as they cut the door out, there were 6 minutes of broadcasts before it went silent. 6 minutes of screaming and agony and slaughter. The ship crew attacked the rescue workers like rabid baboons, breaking bones and tearing flesh. The people on the shore weren't faring any better. Those that had been attacked by animals were attacking everyone else. It was worse than any war zone reports. It was sheer brutality. Yet the broadcast still went on for 6 goddamn minutes. 6 minutes. And then it cut blank to the news anchor and blank faces. Nobody could explain what was happening. They tried to continue with regular news, the economy, the weather, the acute human interest story, but they couldn't make us unsee what we saw. I tried to continue my regular existence, but every time I switched on the news or walked by a newsstand, it was there. This big mystery. They had some explanation, some kind of infection, brain parasites. But it didn't matter. It wasn't an infection that we were afraid of. It was them. 4 days after the initial report, a state of emergency was raised. And yet we'd all seen this before. Every zombie movie ever. People didn't know who to trust. People were stockpiling food and weapons and provisions. Some tried to flee. But it seems that every zombie movie was right. They didn't make it. 3 days later, they arrived in my town. I expected moans, shuffling corpses, dismemberment, but that's where the movies lied. They ran through the streets, screaming. I remember running to my front door as fast as I could, locking, barricading, doing anything to make sure it would stay shut. And then I headed for the window. I was on the 2nd story and I could see the carnage. They were unstoppable. And they were aware. A group of them made their way through a building across the street. They jumped straight through the glass pane windows. Even the shards slicing through that made no difference. They just kept coming. My barricade wasn't going to hold. And I knew it. So I rushed around my flat, grabbing supplies and jamming them into the most secure room of the flat. I went back for one last look across the street. I wish I hadn't. In a 2nd story window, my face met one of theirs. They knew where I was. I quickly dashed into the room and locked the door. I didn't have any panic room or a secure basement, so the safest place I could think of was my bathroom. It had no windows, one door with a lock, and I had to fill my sink and bathtub full of water. So I could stay for a while. So I sat there, in the dark room, with the distant screams ringing in my ears. I began to feel like I may have overreacted. I began to feel like I may have overreacted. Yeah, it'd been 2 hours and no sign of them. It actually got quieter. And I thought they moved on. Maybe I could leave the room, go to the kitchen, grab more food to wait out. But then it happened. A crash came from the front door. The sound of someone running in, full of force, straight to the door and knocking down the barrier behind it. There was a couple more crashes before I knew they were inside. Rapid footsteps moving around the flat, a couple screams and a bang on the wall beside me. My eyes were at their widest. Even in the pitch black, the darkness of the room. Another bang. Another. They knew I was here, and they knew I was scared. This was a zombie nightmare I'd been expecting from the start. I had nowhere to run. There was only so much time before they could break in. I sat my back against the door hoping my extra weight would make it hard for them to get in. And then it got worse. A voice on the opposite side of the door. No screams or moans, just a quiet, whispery voice.
Why don't you open the door?
And then more of them.
We've come for you.
I'll be happy if you open the door.
It's not so bad.
The whispering voices became a cacophony of noise trying to persuade me, to break me, to fool me. I heard that the moaning of zombies would drive even the strongest people insane, but this was worse. This is a siren call. I sit in the darkness and hope and pray that they get bored. But they don't get bored. And they don't leave. I managed to use the mirror to peek onto the door. Only to be greeted by horrible, unblinking eyes. And smeared faces, screams, and more horrible whispers. That was 2 days ago. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm thinking about opening the door. Maybe it won't be so bad.